Okay, so AI, right?
It's everywhere you look these days, isn't it?
It's like every time you turn around, there's a new headline about it.
And the big question everyone seems to be asking,
The one that's on everyone's mind.
is it coming for our jobs?
Which, fair enough, it's a valid concern. But today we're going to try to separate the hype from the reality.
We're going to equip you with the knowledge you need to navigate this whole AI revolution. Because let's be real, it's not going away.
And we've got some really interesting sources to help us unpack all of this.
Oh yeah, we've been digging deep for this one.
Like we always do, but this topic, it feels especially relevant right now, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So we've got a recent article, just came out in August actually, called Will AI Replace Jobs? It's a really interesting read.
It really does give a good snapshot of what's happening right now with AI across a ton of different professions, which I think is really important.
Because it's not some far-off thing anymore. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
And this article, it doesn't sugarcoat it either. One of the first things they point out is that in May of 2023 alone, almost 4,000 jobs were cut because of AI.
4,000.
Yep, just like that.
Wow. Okay. That really highlights why we need to be talking about this. And it's not just those like stereotypical repetitive jobs,
Right. It's not just factory workers or data entry clerks. This article suggests that AI is coming for creative fields too, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, that's where it really gets interesting. So how do you even begin to teach a machine creativity?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's where our second source comes in. Informatics in the Round, a podcast that's been doing some really fascinating episodes on AI. There's one in particular that I think you'll find really relevant. It's all about this researcher, Desmond Upton Patton, who's using AI to actually analyze different forms of creative expression, including music.
AI and music. Now that's something I never really thought about before.
It's pretty wild. Imagine feeding an AI system a massive database of music, like every genre, every style you can think of. And then the AI analyzes all of it, figuring out the patterns, the structures, like what makes music, well, music.
So it's like AI is going to music school, but like on a super, super powered level.
Exactly. And this isn't just some theoretical thing either. Remember that story about Paul McCartney using AI to recreate John Lennon's voice for a new Beatles song?
Wait, seriously? AI can do that now?
Yep. Pretty wild, right?
That's both amazing and a little creepy. Like, what does that even mean for authenticity in music? Are we heading towards a world where artists are releasing new tracks decades after they're gone?
It really blurs the lines, doesn't it? I mean, it makes you question what originality even means in the age of AI.
Oh, right. It's like if an AI can write a song, compose a symphony, even mimic the voices of our favorite singers, what does that mean for human creativity?
And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for the future of work in those creative industries?
It's definitely something to think about. But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's maybe zoom back out for a second and think about what this means for jobs in general. I mean, is AI really going to steal all of our jobs?
The short answer is it's complicated. It's not as simple as, robots replacing humans. It's much more nuanced than that.
Okay, so it's not just doom and gloom.
Exactly.
There's hope for us humans yet.
There is. Because while some jobs will definitely become automated, this change also creates space for new roles and opportunities.
Okay, so it's not just about what we stand to lose, but also what we might gain.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Throughout history, every single major technological advancement has led to shifts in the job market.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look at the Industrial Revolution. That completely changed the game.
Right. And it wasn't all sunshine and roses. There were definitely challenges.
For sure.
But it also created entirely new industries and job opportunities that people at the time couldn't have even imagined.
So you're saying the AI revolution is kind of like that?
Exactly. It's not just about jobs disappearing. It's about the nature of work itself changing.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So instead of asking, will AI take my job? Maybe the better question is,
how can I work with AI
to be even better at what I do?
Now you're getting it. And that's what this entire deep dive is all about, equipping you with the knowledge and the insights to not just survive, but to thrive in this new world of work.
I like the sound of that. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's maybe zoom in on a field where AI's impact is already being felt in a really big way: healthcare.
Good point. And we actually have some really interesting insights from both of our sources about how AI is already shaking things up in the world of medicine.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about that podcast, Informatics in the Round? they had this whole episode dedicated to how AI is being used to tackle the problem of information silos in healthcare.
Oh, yeah, the ones that drive doctors and nurses crazy.
All that fragmented data, the
Yeah.
endless paperwork. It's a nightmare.
A total nightmare.
Mhm.
But this episode actually had some really creative ideas about how AI could be used to streamline data sharing and make things way more efficient for everyone involved.
Which, let's be real, would be a game changer.
Talk about a breath of fresh air for healthcare professionals. Imagine a world where doctors and nurses can actually spend more time with their patients and less time wrestling with paperwork.
Right, that's the dream.
It is, but it's not just about making things easier. The potential for AI to actually improve patient care is huge.
Awesome.
Well, for one, there's a whole other episode on how AI is being used to analyze medical images, like X-rays and CT scans.
So instead of just relying on the human eye, you've got AI stepping in, looking for those tiny details that even the best doctors might miss.
Exactly. And because early detection is key for treating so many diseases, this kind of AI-powered analysis could be absolutely life-changing for people.
That's incredible.
It really is. And it doesn't stop there. AI can also help personalize treatment plans based on a patient's unique situation, which is something that's really difficult to do on a large scale right now.
So we've established AI is already changing healthcare in some amazing ways.
And it's not just healthcare. This technology is going to impact pretty much every industry we can think of in some way or another.
Yeah, true. Which probably has some people listening thinking, okay, but what about my job?
And that's a fair question. It's one we need to be asking.
It's like, how can I stay relevant, when all this new technology is coming in and changing everything so fast?
And, it is changing fast. That's part of what makes this whole thing so challenging, right?
Totally.
But here's the thing. I think we need to approach this with a sense of realism, but also a sense of optimism.
Optimism, really. I mean, I get it. We should try to stay positive. But with all this talk about robots taking over and, the future of work feeling very uncertain,
Yeah.
how can we be optimistic?
Because instead of just focusing on what AI might take away, which is, let's be honest, the scary part, we should also be focusing on what it can empower us to do.
Okay, I like that. So flip the script a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Because think about it this way. Throughout history, every major technological advancement has led to shifts in the job market.
Okay, that's true. Look at the Industrial Revolution, right? I mean, that completely changed the game.
Completely. And it wasn't all good either, at least not at first.
Right, there were definitely some downsides.
Big time.
Yeah.
But it also created new industries, new job opportunities, new ways of working that people at the time couldn't have even imagined.
So you're saying that the AI revolution is kind of like that?
It's very similar, yeah. We're at the very beginning of this massive shift. And just like with the Industrial Revolution, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. There are going to be some bumps in the road, for sure.
For sure.
But it's also an incredible opportunity to create something new, something better.
I like that. So instead of asking, will AI take my job?
Which is the question everyone seems to be asking.
Yeah.
Maybe the better question is, how can I adapt? How can I evolve my skills and my mindset to thrive in this new landscape?
Embrace the change. I like it.
Embrace the change. That's what it's all about. It's not about resisting the future. It's about shaping it.
I love that. But it's easy to say embrace the change when we're talking about it in, like this big picture kind of way. But what does that actually look like for the average person?
Yeah, that's the real question, right? It's like, okay, cool. AI is changing the world. But what do I do on Monday morning?
Exactly.
Well, for starters, I think it means adopting a mindset of lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning, that's a phrase we hear a lot these days. But in the context of AI, what does that actually mean? Like, does everyone need to become a coding whiz overnight?
No, not at all. It's much more about cultivating a curiosity for new technologies and a willingness to, adapt your skill set as needed.
So it's not necessarily about becoming an expert in AI itself,
Right.
but it's more about understanding how AI might impact my specific profession.
Exactly.
And then acquiring the skills to kind of complement those changes.
Exactly. It's about staying ahead of the curve, identifying the skills that are going to be in high demand as AI becomes more integrated into various industries.
Okay, that makes sense. But it still feels kind of overwhelming, like where do you even begin? The pace of change is it feels so fast.
It is fast. It really is. But I think the key is to just start somewhere.
Start somewhere. Okay.
Pick one thing, one skill that you've always wanted to learn or improve on, something that feels relevant to your field, and then just take action. Sign up for that online course, attend that webinar, find a mentor, Just take that first step.
Take action. Don't get bogged down in the overwhelm. Just start.
Exactly. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And the sooner you take that step, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this exciting, ever-evolving world of AI.
This has been incredibly insightful, but before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's zoom in on one more area where AI is poised to have a massive impact.
Let's do it.
The world of music.
Oh, yeah. This is where things get really interesting. And by interesting, I mean mind-blowing.
Totally. And we'll be right back after a quick break to dive into all of that. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've covered a lot of ground already today, from how AI is changing the game in healthcare to what it means for the future of work.
We've talked about a lot.
We really have. But now, get ready for something I think is super cool. How AI is totally rocking the world of music.
And we're not just talking about, like, auto-tuned vocals or fancy software here.
Right. This is next level stuff.
This is AI composing entire symphonies, producing hit songs, even creating virtual bands that look and sound unbelievably real.
Okay, now that you mention it, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
It's wild, right?
It is wild. It really is. I mean, it's like that podcast we were talking about earlier, Informatics in the Round. They had that episode, remember?
Yes.
About Desmond Upton Patton, the researcher.
Yes.
He's using AI to, like, analyze different kinds of creative expression, including music.
And it all comes down to data.
Right, yeah.
Like we were saying before, they're feeding these AI systems massive amounts of information. In this case, music data.
Every genre, every style you can possibly imagine.
Exactly. So it's like AI is going to music school on steroids.
Seriously.
But instead of just copying what it hears, it's actually learning the rules, the patterns, the structures of music.
And then using that knowledge to create something totally new and original.
Exactly.
See, that's what blows my mind about all of this. It's like, how do you program a machine to be creative?
That is $1 million question.
Because, I mean, on the one hand, you've got this incredible technology that can compose, produce, even perform music, right? But then on the other hand, you've got that intangible human element that I think makes music so powerful, you know?
Absolutely. Music is about emotion. It's about storytelling. It's about connecting with something deeper within ourselves and with each other. And those are things that, at least for now, AI can't replicate.
Right. You can program AI with the rules of melody and harmony, but can you program it with the feeling you get when you hear your favorite song?
Right.
Can you program it with the energy of a live performance, the way that music moves you, you know? It's different.
It is different. And that's the thing about music. It's more than just notes on a page or, sound waves hitting your eardrums. It's a feeling. It's an experience. It's a connection. And those are things that, at least for now, in my opinion, AI can't truly replicate.
So where does that leave us? I mean, what is the future of music in this, like, brave new world of AI?
I think it leaves us at the beginning of something incredibly exciting.
Okay, good. I was hoping you were going to say that.
Instead of just viewing AI as this threat, this thing that's coming to take something away from us, what if we imagined it as a collaborator?
A collaborator.
A tool that musicians and really all kinds of artists can use to push their own creativity even further.
Oh, I love that. So instead of replacing musicians, AI could actually enhance their creativity.
Exactly. It's like having a superpower bandmate who's always there to jam with you 24/7. And who knows, maybe this collaboration between humans and AI could even lead to entirely new genres of music that we can't even imagine right now.
No, that is exciting. And that's what I think is so cool about all of this, the potential for innovation. That's what gets me fired up.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the music itself either, right? AI is also changing the way music is produced, distributed, consumed. We're talking personalized playlists tailored to your unique taste.
Ooh, I like that.
We're talking about virtual concerts that can transport you to another world.
The possibilities really are pretty much endless.
They really are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's like the key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with today?
That AI is not some distant threat or some futuristic fantasy. It's here, it's now, and it's transforming our world in some really profound ways. But instead of fearing this change, I think we should embrace it. Embrace the possibilities, because within this change lies incredible potential. The potential to create, to innovate, and to shape a future that benefits all of us, not just a select few.
That is a fantastic takeaway. Embrace the change, embrace the possibilities. And you know what? If you're listening to this right now and you're feeling even just a little bit inspired, remember what we talked about earlier. Take action. Dive into those resources, explore those online courses, connect with others who are passionate about AI because the future is waiting to be written.
Who knows? You might just be the one holding the pen. Or maybe the digital paintbrush. Or the AI-powered microphone.
Exactly. This is The Deep Dive, signing off. Until next time, keep exploring.